The amount of times I heard that sound growing up. Man, those are memories. As someone whose main consoles growing up were the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo GameCube at a friend's house, I was relegated to just watching my dad play through the PlayStation 2 classics, namely Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, a game I've still yet to boot in myself.
Oh shit, here we go again.
And Hot Shots Golf 3. Developed by Clap Hands and released in 2001 for Japan, 2002 for North America, and oh, sorry about that, Europe. Maybe the budget for a European release was blown on getting Sweet Tooth and Gex into Hot Shots Golf 2?
This is like a luau at Mel Blanc's house.
Who knows? Anyway, throughout the years, this was one of those games that kind of lived in the recesses of my mind as an, oh yeah, that was a thing type title. Especially when I was working on other sports games such as Mario Golf and Tennis on the GBA, as well as Tiger Woods PGA Tour Golf, also for the GBA. Look, they can't all be winners. The original idea for this video in particular was to complete a 100% speedrun for Hot Shots Golf 3, or at least one I was proud of. I technically have one finished, as you can see through this unlisted video here, but there was over 2 hours of time lost thanks to some versus match woes. I can't let the -3 people make it that far in the video see that, right? I gave it a few more attempts, but with my free time dwindling, I ended up putting it on hold. Since then, I started using retro achievements, in large part thanks to a mini kick I got on for Simpsons Hit and Run. For those not familiar with the website, Retro Achievements is exactly what it sounds like. Create an account, set up your emulator, bada bing, bada boom, you're getting achievements for things such as getting gym badges in Pokemon or beating Ripto and Spyro. The Hot Shots Golf, or Everybody's Golf series as it's known today, has achievement boards for 3 games. The PSP game Open T, which I've yet to touch, Hot Shots Golf 4, which might be the most popular one today, and finally, Hot Shots Golf 3. With 63 achievements for the taking and seeing just a handful of people master the game when I pulled the page up, I asked myself a pretty simple question. Could I clear all the achievements in Hot Shots Golf 3? Let's find out. Of course, a simple challenge video isn't really my style. I gotta spice it up somehow. It was originally going to be a run composed of simply using one character, but that also didn't really sit right with me. Banking on my speedrunning history, I grabbed fellow runner JIGGLYKONG to talk about their own experiences with Hot Shots Golf 3 while we go through the more grindy modes. The achievements themselves can be broken up into 3 categories: tournament mode, versus mode, and the grab bag. I figured my best route would be to take the path I normally use for 100% runs, and thus, we begin with tournament mode. Tournament mode has a total 20 achievements, which break down pretty simply. Achieve each tournament rank all the way up to King, finish within the top 10 of each tournament, and win each tournament. As you make your way through each round, you're also able to pick up all the missing caddies, clubs, and balls, which will eventually land us with a total 23 achievements of the 63. Before we tee up though, let's talk characters. Hot Shots Golf 3 has a total of 3 starting characters: Pete, Johnny, and Tiffany. Pete's got the best spin, and Johnny definitely has the best control with fantastic impact. So why did I pick Tiff? Honestly, it's for slight inter-community meme purposes, but also she gives very, very light Sabrina Carpenter vibes, and if you know me, yeah, that's that me espresso. Plus, I have a personal philosophy to always pick the girl when available, as female player characters are rarer than male ones when they are gendered. It's a choice I take to appreciate a different aspect to things, you know? With our golfers selected, we have 5 courses to go through across a total 28 tournaments: Mount Sakura, Aloha Beach Resort, Western Valley, Bagpipe Classic, and United Forest. The courses themselves don't pose too much of a challenge, aside from specific holes such as United Hole 11, especially when the hole's on the left side of a green. Holes like that aside, none of these are too much trouble, even for the character that has the lowest power in the game, so I think I'll take this time to ask Mr. JIGGLYKONG some questions here. First, I just want to thank you for joining me, Jiggly. Hot Shots Golf 3 was a game that I was really raring to give a shot after seeing my dad play when I was a kid, that ended up creeping up in my mind more and more as time passed. What got you into the game in the first place?
Hi there, Joey. Thanks for having me. The way I found this game was by pure chance. I was walking with my dad through our local flea market one day, and he picked up the game because it was only like $3. Fitting for Hot Shots Golf 3, right? I tested it out that day and instantly fell in love with Johnny. My brother loved using Pete. It was a great game for our little sibling rivalry.
Something about dads in golf games, I'm telling you. He liked to use Mr. Grip It and Rip It, but I always found myself more drawn to Mitch and Tiffany. Speaking of being drawn to Tiffany, I ended up knocking out one of the grab bag achievements super early. Before starting this challenge, it had been a couple months since I last played Hot Shots Golf 3, and Hole 7 of Western usually gives me some trouble, especially on the back hole. But my first fully completed round of a course for this challenge, boom! Hole in one! It's one of those, oh, okay moments, like how you're super locked in at getting one specific thing done, but somehow end up getting a much harder thing done of a process that you weren't even thinking of at all, you know?
Oh!
You'll also notice that there is a little icon on the bottom right with a cameraman. That is for the achievement Paparazzi Dodger, which is definitely a cool idea. It's just slightly bugged, that's all. I've already brought up the achievement and its logic to the offer though, as it seems to break on specific holes, so hopefully it's fixed in due time, and especially by the time this video is up. But basically, to earn this achievement, you have to not press any camera buttons during a round on Western while finishing with a score of 4 under par or better, and while using one of the 3 starting characters. Zooming in and out, especially on the green, helps with aligning shots a fair bit, but at least a 4 under par isn't a hard ask on Western whatsoever. I ended up putting in a couple more attempts just to get this fin unlocked and out of the way, complete with a 10 under par. Nothing bad, just a little tedious since I should have had it in my first attempt. Anyway, back to Jiggly. How'd you get into speedrunning Hot Shots Golf 3, by the way?
I was about a year into Twitch streaming, and was wanting to complete a challenge run something other than Pokemon Nuzlocke, which was what most of my content was at that time. I enjoy watching speedruns, so I decided to look into Hot Shots Golf 3 just to see how the leaderboards look. Well, Yoshi had a time of, I believe, 1 hour and 7 minutes, and while watching that run I had one single thought: I can definitely beat this, and that's how it began.
In your opinion, what is the easiest and hardest part of both an any percent run and a 100% run?
For an any percent run, and this might sound weird, the easiest part for me is dealing with a reset. This game is very RNG heavy.
Looking at you and your random chip-ins, Spike.
So true.
Amazing, it went in.
Thankfully, any percent isn't too long of a run, and I don't mind resetting 10 or 15 times to get RNG to be on my side. And for the hardest, probably figuring out when to change courses. It could be very advantageous to get a 4-hole Tony and a Stell on Mount Sakura, but it's so unlikely to occur. I always find myself taking a few seconds to decide on what would be best. For 100% runs, I'd say the resets, again, aren't too bad. For most of the 100% categories, you can do the harder stuff early on, and therefore not be too inconvenienced. I can say without a doubt that the hardest part of doing 100% anything is the time commitment.
Oh, for sure. I didn't get too much time to do runs, but I usually committed to 100% runs whenever I did. With resets, that thing would take at least half a day. You better cancel whatever plans you may have had. Tiffany needs your attention if you want the gold.
Plans? What are those? I definitely feel you with the amount of time I have to do runs. I usually plan out the days I can attempt them weeks or even a month in advance. And then to have to play at almost your best for the entirety of a long playthrough is a challenge to say the least. Grapes are a magic solution in any 100% run. Keeps me full and focused.
Speaking of focus, with tournament mode now complete and a picked up slot machine achievement and a process to bring us to 26 of 63 achievements earned, we can now head into our second main mode, Versus Mode. Versus Mode holds host to a whole 31 achievements, where our main goal should be to earn gold stars off of our matchups. To earn a gold star, you simply need to end the versus match early by going 4 up on your opponent. Easier in the early matches for sure, but once you get to the second half, and especially with the second round opponents, it can get a bit rough. When I did 100% runs, this is easily where I fell apart the most, particularly around New Blue and New Kamala, which sucked so bad that deep into a run. While we go through these snoozers at the start though, let's get back to Jiggly real quick. Are there any particular problem matchups in the runs, at least in your experience? Characters who tend to be a lot more brutal than they should be?
Well, we've already mentioned Spike. Stacy and him could either be the pushiest of pushovers or the biggest chip and trolls on the planet. In fact, Spike is the CPU who's gotten the most hole-in-ones against me. John is particularly volatile. He can go down 4, or you can grip it and rip it for eagles. However, there's one more golfer that there seems to be a consensus for being the most brutal, and that's Blue, both for normal and versus 100. I cannot tell you how many times I'd get to the late game, 3+ minutes in front, with just Blue and Louise to go. Get a quick 3-hole lead, and then boom, we tie the next 6 holes with birdies and eagles. He's definitely caused a lot of crash outs over the past 3 years.
Those later CPUs make sense, but the fact that the blue-haired wonder and pigtail princess can put up a fight like that is insane. Let's switch over to accomplishments. Tell us some of your biggest moments as a runner.
There are definitely lots to choose from. On my 3rd ever run, I became the first sub-hour runner after saving 6 minutes from my previous time. I remember that one fondly because Louise was being annoying, and then all of a sudden my opportunity came. 1 year later, I got my final on-stream PB and the first sub 55-minute time after being almost 4 minutes behind after Kamala. If I didn't make a 58-foot eagle putt against her, that run would have gone straight to the trash can. The real pinch me moment came when I broke the sub 50-minute barrier.
Yo, this is gonna blow everybody's mind. Yo, sub 50, sub 49.
That was one of my biggest goals after watching the Metal Yoshi run, where he said, sub 50 run, highly unlikely. While I had been on top for a while, I remember being so emotional, and even shedding some tears. Beating fellow runners is always memorable, and for a couple of months there was a race to get the best all-courses time. I was on the back foot from the beginning, since Tarzan and GK Tsunami were way better at skipping cutscenes than myself. I didn't give up though, and getting the first sub 37 in that category, and beating both of them overall was such an incredible feeling. I have to thank you as well for getting me into 100% plus all items. Smashing my time goal for that was amazing, and it was also the last mainline category that I needed the record for, so now I hold all of them.
Big putts in general feel so massive. Like genuine hype moments like, I actually sank it from over 2 states over, let's go! Congratulations on all your records. Some particular highlights for me while doing these versus matches? Well, Spike's first round match ended up being the first one I didn't finish in 4 holes because of a barely missed putt. I got remarkably close to an albatross with Tiffany on hole 5 of Sakura while going up against Lynn in one of many, many shots that landed within 10 feet. This mess that happened during my first matchup with John. Blue took me to hole 10 of Western thanks to some faltered focus on my end, which fortunately bounced out with T-Bone being a perfect 4-and-out right after. Spike ended up with 0 chip-ins between both matches, so sorry there, Jiggly. New Estelle was particularly stubborn for some reason, taking all the way to hole 12 on United, which fed directly into my frustration with my own performance against New Tony, where I just wanted to play perfectly after all of that. And then later New Zeus, because why the hell did it reset there of all places? Ellie's vow was followed up by Blue missing 2 putts and 1 hole so I can finish on hole 14 of United. That was funny. The cream of a crop though is this right mess here against New T-Bone on United hole 5. T-Bone went out of bounds off his drive, so this should be an easy hole for me to win, right? 2 things to know about me. I will mess up every single joke in person, and I will inevitably throw away any advantage I have, one way or another, if I ever feel comfortable. Case in point, hitting my own ball off a tree I very easily could have avoided if I just curved the ball the other way and watching that bounce out of bounds. Odds are this hole would have been a tie, but much like an NBA player trying to style, I sank the shot from basically half court for par, which is... wow. T-Bone got ridiculously close too, but let's pause and rewind back to my second shot. Let's just think about this. If hitting at full power off of a 7-iron for 144 yards allowed me the chip in, what the hell was I actually trying to do with that shot for almost 155 yards off of the 6-iron? I was probably overcompensating for the snow, but even then, I got the lowest possible power for the chip in. Just craziness, up and down. Oh, yeah, Neil Louise. She missed a putt I wasn't expecting her to, which allowed me to clear out the rest of versus mode in 7 holes, so hey, it's dope. At this point, we have just 6 achievements left, and of the remainder, the short course is calling out to me the most, as it's something that's not required for the 100% run. I figured my best bet would be to start with the Woods and Putter Challenge. That way, if I got a hole-in-one, it'd be style points and a nice 2-in-1 achievement. It didn't quite happen, but hey, finishing 1 under par, it's not bad. The hole-in-one achievement ended up being shockingly cumbersome, taking another 45 minutes. But it was nice trying to top myself in both points and score. With 4 achievements left, I was just staring at the shop trying to figure out exactly what I was missing. After all, I'm used to just buying everything and being done in 100% runs. But then it hit me. I still hadn't done the stroke play rounds. To keep a long story short, some of the capsules in the shop require playing specific courses 10 times. The only course that's excluded from this counting metric is Bagpipe. For some reason. Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. Maybe the developers wanted to keep that one the most pure and classic feeling of a courses. Who knows? But hey, you know what? I kind of don't like Bagpipe anyway. It's fine. With tournament rounds counting, it basically just comes down to playing United 5 more times and the remaining courses 4 more times. Along the way, I started using T-Bone, as while I very easily could have continued using Tiffany, I wanted a little more time with a character who's considered the best in the game due to having very solid stats with a beginner duo set or beginner infinity set while keeping very good impact. Louise, despite being unlocked after T-Bone, just has impact that suffers a bit too much to be used in most cases during a 100% speedrun, especially if you land in the rougher sand. Still usable, by all means, but just a bit more technical. Too technical for runs. Maybe not this one, though? Before we wrap, Jiggly, give us your quick spiel on where people can find you and why we should give playing Hot Shots Golf 3, at the very least, a shot.
To see my records for Hot Shots Golf and other fun challenge run videos for retro games, check out my YouTube. I also have a Blue Sky and a Twitter that I sparsely use. Where I am most active though is Twitch, where I try to do 3 streams a week. All of those are under JigglyKong. Hot Shots Golf 3 has a nostalgic vibe from an early 2000s game. The charm is rarely found in nowadays games, and it makes it feel a bit more than a simple 3-click golf game. The courses are beautiful and relaxing. Every single character has their own identity, and I'm certain anyone would find themselves using them all to experience the game in many different ways. The soundtrack is also top tier. You will never want to play any outside music once you hear it for the first time. Shout out to United Forest's Spring theme for being one of the best tracks in all of video games.
Oh, absolutely. Something about Aloha Beach Resort's summer theme for me just brings me back to a much simpler time, where a lot of life's stresses were still far on the horizon. It's a simple golf game on the surface, but one that kind of acts like a bit of an escape. $17 total grind runs done, every capsule unlocked, meaning I can buy every shop item, so just 2 achievements to go. One of these directly correlates to the capsules and can be done in practice mode, so that's easy enough. With that said, I never knew this little hot spring even existed on hole 8 of Mount Sakura. To be fair to me though, it is behind 792 different trees on a course that's mostly defined by one giant rolling hill, so it's not like I would even need to look in that direction, but still. At any rate, it's just the Albatross achievement left. For those that don't know what an Albatross is, it's basically a much tougher version of a hole-in-one, where you need to get the ball in the hole in 2 shots on a par 5. It's much easier to do in games where you can directly boost your own power levels, such as Mario Golf Advanced Tour, but in this game, not really an option. With that said, given we've had so many close calls over the course of this playthrough, and that I've previously done speedruns of this game, it shouldn't take me that long to actually get an Albatross, right? 12.5 hours. I spent almost exactly 40% of my total runtime on this game purely dedicated trying to hit a single albatross, something I've already gotten quite a few close calls with, even with Tiff. While grinding out, I opted to flip to Louise for the simple reason that she has a straight shot on top of having very solid control, and therefore would be one less thing I need to calculate when I'm also working against random wind speeds and directions, the lie of the ball, random percentages for power, how straight of a shot the character wants to hit within their little aim cone thingy, or whatever you want to call the little gray bar that's coming off the ball for each shot, and the topography of the green among many, many other factors. It's all a lot. And in my opinion, it's a bit too technical for the board, but regardless, I hit it the same way I hit the hole-in-one achievement near the start of the video. Imperfect impact on a shot I thought would be close but had no chance of making it in. But hey, it happened, and thus completes the challenge run.
Highly unexpected and a double eagle.
While I'm glad I finally got to experience Hot Shots Golf free for myself back in 2025, I can't help but feel like I missed an opportunity not being able to play it with my dad or anyone else growing up. The golfing experience feels the most natural of all the golf games I've ever played, even more so than its sequel, and especially more than that Tiger Woods game I mentioned earlier. But there's that level of friendly competition I just ended up losing out on by waiting until my late 20s to actually pick it up. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll be able to get into a friendlies match with a couple of runners, but for now, it's time for me to put the golf clubs down and just relax. The job is done. Let's celebrate that. I guess this is what you get for trying to unwind Spyro style, huh? A huge thank you goes out to JIGGLYKONG for helping me with some of the finer details of this video, as well as allowing me to interview him a bit. With games in general, I'm very much a feel it out type. I don't really study up on specific metadata, so having someone a bit more familiar with the intricacies of a game along for the ride absolutely helped. Please make sure to check out Jiggly's socials in the description, especially his Twitch. You're in for a chill time, trust me. Coming up next, it's time to dip back into Persona and one of its subjects I'm the most passionate about, music. This is Joey Pals, signing out. Take care, y'all.
Now watch this drive.